welcome to another episode of Inside the Industry Unfiltered. Stu, very excited about this episode. This is a man that both of us have known. Well, I've known him for years. You go back quite a few years as well, do you?
Yeah, years. Several years, isn't it? Several years.
Well, let's introduce him. He is, of course, the founder of AFTV and DR Sports as well. Big Arsenal fan, which might be interesting for me as a Spurs fan. It is Don Robbie Lyle. Robbie, how are you, mate?
I'm good. Yeah, listen, I know you both for a very long time. You know, Stu, known for years and years, you know, so... When I sort of my first couple of years in.
We used to meet up quite a bit, didn't we?
Yeah.
Chat
Did
and
you?
then
Brainstorm?
Yeah, just catching up on stuff. I loved what Arsenal Fan TV were doing. Real kind of trailblazing on that side of things. Because I was always a bit of a nerd on the forums, on the Southampton forums and stuff, when it was all text-based and stuff, but I ended up getting myself banned from all of them.
Well, I remember he always used to text me when Southampton would beat us.
Yeah.
Right? And they've always been a bit of our bogey team, so... But I've heard he's kind of disappeared over the past sort of year or so. You know,
even last season we put the nail in your coffin.
You drew against us as well in that last minute penalty. Let's move on anyway. This is painful memories. Let's get straight into it, Robbie. Obviously, everyone is aware of you founding AFTV. So, how did it start? What was the sort of brain set behind it?
The whole brain set behind it was just like being a lifelong Arsenal fan, just wanted to have a platform that could just give ordinary fans a chance to have their say. So, you know, you obviously you hear your talk sports and your things like, you know, 5 Lives and stuff like call-ins and everything. Yeah. But I was like, none of them were sort of dedicated to Arsenal. It was my team. So can I create a forum similar, but in video, where people could come and have their say about the club? And then the other thing is as well, I used to get fed up of hearing shows where you'd have so-called experts on giving opinions when, you know, they're not supporters of the club or they don't go and watch Arsenal week in, week out. So I just really, I was really influenced by a friend of mine called Coogan Cassius, who does a boxing channel, who is also a massive Arsenal fan. Me and him have been going to Arsenal since Highbury days. And he was doing his thing in boxing. And I was like, hey, this could work in football, you know? And I tried to get him to come in with me because I at the time, I knew nothing about filming and editing.
Yeah.
No, I knew nothing about it. I think social media, nothing, zeros, right? So I was trying to, my thing was, I sort of went to him with a proposal, hoping that he'd come in with me because I'm like,
he'd do all the creative stuff and you'd present it.
And he was too busy to do it. But he did say to me, it's a good idea, but he goes, I just couldn't do it, Robbie. I'm just way too busy.
You gutted
what
when
I'm
he said
doing.
that?
I was totally gutted. I was like, at first I thought, that's it. The idea's dead. Because,
oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah, because I was like, I'm not going to be able to do it.
Yeah.
And then I just sort of went away and just thought to myself, you know, actually, sometimes in life you just have to do it and worry about afterwards what's going to happen. And hopefully things will fall into place. And that's what I literally did. And I just sort of started it up. And I went to a friend of mine who I used to do some sort of nightclub promotions back in the day because I used to be sort of into music.
You're a reggae artist, weren't you?
Reggae artist.
Go on, how good were you? Go on, let's touch upon it.
I weren't bad. I had a tune that went to #1 in the UK reggae charts.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I used to tour a lot and perform, and so I was in it for quite a few years.
And was that your real passion originally then? Obviously, I know you're a fan,
I still love my music, but that was my real passion at the time. So I went to him and I said, can you design a website for me? And showed him it all and everything. And then he came back to me a couple of days after and he said, he goes, that looks like a decent idea you got there, Robbie. He goes, you know, I do some little filming. I help out at a studio that films some little low budget ads and that. So I said, do you? So he goes, yeah. He goes, I might be able to help you out with it. So he borrowed a camera from the studio and a mic, and then we just turned up at the Emirates one day, started interviewing fans, and it started from there.
And what was the perception that the first time you rocked up with a camera and a mic? You just said you knew nothing about you know, camera stuff and YouTube and all of that.
Yeah.
What was the reaction from the fans first time you turned up?
Well, it was great because the first game we ever did, we played Tottenham.
Right. I was going to get this in.
There's going to be a theme to this podcast, isn't it?
What happened?
No, it's a North London. Remember the North London derby? We beat you 5-2 at the Emirates.
Oh, is that it?
Yeah. So that was the first game that we did properly. That was that.
Yeah.
So obviously the reactions after it were great. And the first thing that I found immediately is that people who came on was sharing videos. You know what I mean? So
Right.
you know, so I mean, the numbers weren't in comparison to what you get now, but we were getting videos like 100 people watched it.
Yeah.
And we were high-fiving each other and we saying, this is amazing. I mean, for our first thing, for 50, 100 people to be watching the videos, you know, and a lot of that was based off of people who had done the video and then they sort of shared it with friends and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And, you know, yeah, it was good. It was, I was pleased to see the reaction and the reaction of people. And I think at first as well, because when you first turn up at a ground and, you know, I remember like I was going up to people, I had to walk around the ground trying to find people, which is, I always remember, because now we'll be filming and we'll have like 300-400 people around us.
I've
right?
seen it, yeah.
Right. But those days we had to find people, right? And you'd walk up to people and say, mate, we're Arsenal Fan TV, would you like to talk about the game? And people were, I don't know if you're allowed to swear on this, but they'd be like, who the fuck are you? You know what I mean? You're not BBC, because you ain't got the mic with the BBC and all that. So a lot of people would be just blank you. But I think once the video started coming out and they saw you know, it was half decent quality, the sound sounded all right and stuff like that, people are like, actually. So the next time you go and try and interview somebody, they'd want to come back on.
It's an interesting point that you make there, Robbie, about what I took from that is you said you only got 50 or 100 views, but you were high-fiving each other. I want to ask you this as an agency who looks after some of the biggest YouTubers in the country, that everyone wants to be a YouTuber now. Everyone I speak to wants to do it, but they want to chase that success early. You know, Robbie's getting millions of views now, but at the start, it's quite easy to look at and go 50 views and go, oh, I wanted more and give up. But it goes to show that perseverance, you have to do it slowly, don't you, to build it up?
You've got to persevere. It's an algorithm-based platform, right? It's the more you do it, the more consistent you are with your uploads, your video qualities, the engagement you get, and it starts to grow. But it's a slow process, right? I guess with football, you've got the advantage that you can have these viral moments and other ways. Because I actually tried to build a website called Away Supporters about 15 years ago and stuff, and it was purely off the back of, it's one of the most shared sports shared things out there, isn't it, if you're going to build a platform? But you've got to start with except in high-fiving when you get 50, 100 people, because I always think 100%. You just look, if we put 100 people in this room, we'd be like, that's a lot of people.
Exactly. Good point. And people miss that. I mean, you've got to build something, and you know what I get now? I get asked to come and speak at schools and stuff like that, about how to build social, because obviously social media is massive for kids. And I'll say to kids, I go, it's a bit like school, in that, you know, you don't just turn up at school, you know, with the first year and get your GCSE, do you? You don't pass your GCSEs after 1 week. There's a process. You're going to have to be there for a little while. You know what I mean? If you're a footballer, you don't just get straight into the first thing. You've got to go through the academy system. You know what I mean? So it's a bit like in this industry as well. You know what I mean? You've got to build. You've got to graft and build. And even if you do get a viral video, right? What's the next one? How do you get the next one? You can just get lucky and get a viral video, but you might not get that next week. I'd rather have a sustained period of good numbers on my videos than a viral video.
That's interesting, yeah. Do you know what's amazing? 100%. This theme of this pod, everyone that we've had on so far has spoken about, as soon as you have success, what's the next thing? And I think that's what sets apart the people at the top, like Robbie and other guests we've had on, that you don't just sit still, you're always looking to improve.
Always looking to improve, but also it takes time, right? It's a... you talking about your analogies. If you want to be an electrician, you can't just go, all right, off I'm an electrician. You've got to do an apprenticeship, and you've got to graft with earning not a lot of money, or do other stuff to supplement your income. And it's a process, and you've got to push through that barrier to get there.
I like the analogy, mate. Shout out to all the electricians that might be.
The thing is, a lot of people do look on in this space and they see your KSIs and your Logan Pauls and these people like that so big and just think they just did this overnight. This guy's been doing these things for years, and they've been doing it. A lot of it they did was when the cameras weren't on, and they've been grafting and thinking and working, and so you can't just think you're going to come along and just do that overnight.
They've all had those views with 50. They've all built. I mean, obviously,
everyone's got to start. Everybody starts from zero.
Well, one thing I wanted to ask you is, when did you realise? Because you said you just rocked up, you wanted to give it a go, but it sounded like that wasn't a career that you wanted to get. You didn't know how big Arsenal Fan TV would become. So you've gone to one game, one North London derby, you've got 50, 100 views. What point did you realise you actually needed to quit your job and actually make that your full-time profession? Was there a light bulb moment with you?
Well, after I did the first game, so my plan at first, right, was all home games.
Right.
Did the first game, and went well.
Logistically.
Logistically, definitely convenient. But I did the first game, I'm like, you know what? This went so well. Why don't we let's do the away game the next week. I know it's going to be more difficult than that. We went and did the away game. I remember it was Villa away. Yeah. We did that the week after. That went even better.
Did it?
Yeah, because when I was reading the comments, people were like, oh, you're really giving us an insight into, didn't realise it looked like this outside the ground, didn't realise so many fans went. But, you know what I mean? And I started to realise it's only a tiny fraction of fans that go, you know, if you're an Arsenal fan around the world, around the UK, only a tiny fraction of them get to go to an away game.
Yeah.
So you are giving them an insight.
Yeah.
Right? And then after that, I'm like, right, we have to do it every single game, home and away.
After the second game, you thought?
After the second game.
Wow.
Right. And I didn't know how I was going to do it because, listen, I didn't really have the funds to do it, but I just we're just going to have to do it, right? And then after about doing things for about 3 months, I just realised that, you know, I'm going to have to, there's going to come a time when I want to do this all the time, full time. I mean, it took me about 3 years.
Did it? What were you working as at the time?
I was working as a building surveyor.
Wow, so you had a proper normal job, and you were doing Arsenal on the side, so working pretty much flat out.
So I was doing. I mean, it'd be hard sometimes because, like, I used to work in what they call project surveying, where I looked after a lot of contracts. So you had to attend a lot of meetings, right? It was good on the one aspect because I did a lot of travelling, so I tell the story sometimes how a lot of times I'd be. Say transfer season, like now in the summer, because I had to wear a suit to work, but I'd have my Arsenal shirt and that in the back of the car, and I might be driving and might hear on the radio or get a text from one of my guys when they're saying, yeah, Robbie, Arsenal have just signed such and such. So then I pull over, take my shirt off and that, put the Arsenal top on. So I just have this little tripod I'd roll with, put my phone on it, and I just filmed the top off. So, you couldn't.
I'm picturing you literally in a lay-by on the A1.
Yeah, trust me, man. That picture's true, right? And you just see the top off, right? And then I do, breaking news, and Arsenal just signed, blah blah blah, right? And then do that. Then I'd WhatsApp it to my other partner who did he'd do all the editing and that. Yeah. And then put my suit back on and go to work.
Wow.
And then a lot of times now, I'll be in a lot of these meetings, right? And trust me, they're boring because, you know, there's people talking about, you know, how many, you know, things to order for the construction and this and that. And you're in there's a long-ass meetings and contracts and stuff like you're talking about. And, you know, the night before, I might have been Burnley away. And got in at like 5 o'clock in the morning and had like 3 hours sleep and then had to go to work. So sometimes, man, I'd be nodding off and things like that. So I actually liked my job. I didn't, you know what I mean? It wasn't like a thing like I hated my job at the time, but I was just like, at some stage, I need to get out of this job, man, and do it full time. And there is the other thing is as well, like people always ask me the question and say, well, was it that you were making so much money that you knew that and I was like, no, I didn't. I was starting after a while to make money from the channel. Yeah. But there comes a moment where you say to yourself, I need to leave now if I'm gonna make this really successful because even though I'm not making enough money to step away, but I'm never going to be able to make that money if I don't step away now.
It's time, isn't it? Your time's precious. Yeah.
So it is a sacrifice. You do have to.
You got to take the gamble, haven't you?
You're taking a risk. You have to.
How tough is that though? Because I imagine for quite a few years, leaving what sounds like quite a solid job, you know, well-paid job, good income.
They wanted to promote me in the job.
Really?
Yeah.
So how difficult is that then to then leave that behind and go to a job at the time? Obviously, you've been amazingly successful since then. But at the time when you said, I think I'm right in thinking you'd be earning less doing Arsenal Fan TV than what you're doing. So how difficult was that mindset? Or was it simply, I'm following my passion here?
It was really difficult financially, right? But it was an easy decision in my mind because I was just like, I believe in what I'm doing. I'm on this journey, and you know, and then I also said to myself, I'm gonna back myself. I'm gonna go, I feel I can make this work, and I feel it's gonna make it successful. And if I don't, I feel I could then go back to surveying. I feel I could get back in somewhere.
Fair point.
So I'm like, so I'm gonna back myself, man. Let me give myself a year or so and see how it goes. If I'm struggling really, really badly, then I'll try and go back in and be a temp working or something. But I've got to go for it.
Yeah.
You know, didn't go down too well with the family.
I was just about to say that. I was just about to say, what was the reaction like?
No, it didn't go down too well, man. But yeah, I mean, sometimes you've got to take a...
Why do you think that was?
Well, it's the financial side, isn't it? You know, you're financially, you know, you've got mortgages to pay, you've got bills to pay, you know, so...
And also, it's a job like, I don't know, people say, I want to be a singer, I want to be this, that. I think when you're telling family and stuff, oh yeah, I'm going to go and run a football channel, they're like, no, you just want to go and do lots of football matches and you're giving up your career to go and do... Exactly. And they don't necessarily... Well, they wouldn't have seen it as a job because Arsenal Fan TV, there was no fan channels around then.
Exactly, there's no blueprint.
Like now, you could say, oh, no, there is Man United TV. There's the United stand, there's AFTV. There is a blueprint, like you say, but you're basically saying, I'm going to invent something, and it's around football. Yeah,
and that's what makes it even tougher as well, because, you know, the whole journey, there's no blueprint. There's nobody to really look to say, oh, don't do that.
Yeah.
Do it this way and that. I mean, so you're still learning on the job all the way. So, yeah, it was a tough decision, but you know, I'm so happy that I did make that decision.
Do you look at yourself as a trailblazer? Because obviously now they're a fan channel. Every club's got a fan channel, and you were one of the first to do it. Do you see yourself like that?
I do now. Yeah. I mean, people used to say to me before, Robbie, do you realise you're such a trailblazer? I think, I suppose. But I guess now I look on it and I say, it's not even just a fan channel, it's just the amount of people who make content around football on YouTube, whether it be a fan channel or whether it be football content or podcasts. And then even like I look at sometimes some of the haters that I had earlier in the day.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, this is crap. What they just ranting and, you know, and they're trying to make money off of it, and then they've all got podcasts now, and they're all doing, they're all doing YouTube and stuff like that. So, you know what I mean? So you look at it now, you say, yeah, I guess we were real trailblazers, you know what I mean? Because, you know, and it's great. And I'm always like happy to see loads of people making content around football. You know, it doesn't have to be my team or whatever team it is. You know, and even if it is a person who back in the day was a hater, I'm still like, good luck to you, man. I hope you're successful with what you're doing.
Yeah, I can vouch for that in terms of him being a lot of people watching his content, because I just helped him park his car, and it took about 20 minutes just to get around the corner because everyone's going, Robbie, shouting Arsenal. And obviously, I'm stood next to him as Spurs fan going, just so you know, I'm not an Arsenal fan. Just want to make that clear. But yeah, let's talk about that. You sort of alluded to it there. You started the channel at a time when Arsenal were going through a bit of a transition. There was a bit of, is it fair to say, a bit of negativity from the fan base at the club? There was a bit of a trophy drought going on. Yeah. Do you think that helped the growth of the channel? Because at the time, certainly my early memories of watching Arsenal Fan TV was a lot of people ranting and raving. What are your thoughts on that?
Do you know what? It's a really hard thing to really quantify, really, because like, what if I look on it and say, had we been going through a period like what Man City were going through now, there'd still be loads of people on there, you know, they wouldn't be probably ranting, but it still would have aided the growth.
Do you think it'd still be successful? If Arsenal won a treble or whatever, that you still think it would be as successful?
100%, because we would still, you know, you'd be in the spotlight.
You'd just get less viral moments, wouldn't you? So, well, I mean, I'm a Southampton fan for all my sins.
He mentions that every pod.
I know. Big shout out.
Go on.
But if Arsenal lose 3-0, I'm going straight on Arsenal Fan TV to watch, just to watch everyone, all the meltdowns and the shouting and the ranting and stuff. I do actually keep an eye on Arsenal Fan TV now, only because I've known you for many years, and I'd like to see what you're up to. But other than that, I wouldn't, as a Southampton fan, watch Arsenal Fan TV, because I don't care if Arsenal draw 1-1 with Villa. Yeah. But so I would tune in as a Southampton fan just for that reason. So I guess it would, and I guess many others would. So you get those initial viral moments which really kind of put a rocket under it. But They don't mean anything in the long term, because
No.
when you start doing well, like you did last season, people switch off that aren't Arsenal fans and go, well, I don't really want to see loads of happy Arsenal fans, especially Spurs fans. So they're going to switch off. But I bet all the Spurs fans were on it when you're losing.
Yeah, I guess, you have a lot of opposition fans on it when you're losing, but then some of our biggest numbers that we've ever had were last season when we were winning. And,
Okay.
when the biggest, I think the most we've ever had for like a single game is when we won the FA Cup final. That was the most numbers we ever had for a single game across all of our videos. Last season, we had, crazy numbers because Arsenal were doing so well.
Yeah.
But we often get like, almost like criticised, or almost like I get a lot of media people coming to me and sort of like implying like, oh, but you hope you lose, and all, which is an absolute load of rubbish. And the same media guys know that they get spikes for unexpected results. So that's why you'll have match of the day. When Man United got pumped by Brighton last season, that's on the first game on match of the day. That wouldn't have been the first game on match of the day if they had won 5-0. You know what I mean? So it's just a natural reaction from fans. But if you're going to have a big channel and a big consistent channel, right, it's all about making great content. And, that's what I focus upon. I mean, I got no influence on the results, unfortunately.
Not yet. You're quite powerful, but Don Robbie, when he starts influencing results.
If I could influence them, that'd be great. We would have won the league last season. But, so it was it was a real strange time as well, because, to see, it was an uncomfortable time sometimes for me, because I was a massive, massive Arsene Wenger fan. And to sort of see, sometimes you're interviewing fans and having a pop at him, especially earlier on, inside me, I'm thinking, oh man, you know what this guy's done for this club and stuff like that. But if you're a platform and you're allowing fans to have their honest opinions, and, you've just gone to Chelsea and lost 6-0, like, remember that time on his 1,000th game, you're not going to get nobody talking very complimentary about it.
But
you know what I mean?
In that moment, though, you just said that you're a massive Arsene Wenger fan, you'd remembered all the glory years. There were some really strong opinions anti-Arsene Wenger on your channels that, as Stu alluded to, went viral all the time.
Yeah.
You're the one in Vision standing there with a microphone. I know that you've gone on to meet Arsene Wenger since then.
Yeah.
How are you feeling in that moment? And how are you balancing that, Robbie the Arsenal fan, but Robbie the content creator?
Because what I tried to do always was try and put a balance in the questions that I asked.
Right.
So if somebody said to me, right, I want Arsene Wenger out of Arsenal, I'd ask them why. And why do you want him to go? And then they give their, and I question them. I wouldn't just let people I always try to question it. Obviously, it gets more difficult, as I said, if you've just been beaten 6-0 away at Chelsea. It's difficult because even in your side, inside yourself, you're thinking, bloody hell, he's spot on, to be honest, with a lot of things he's saying. But I always try to stay neutral. I always try to question people. On both counts, I mean, if somebody came in and said, they feel Arsene Wenger's a legend and that he, nobody should be having a pop at him, I'd be questioning them as well and say, well, hold on, we just been beaten here, and do you think he's on the decline? I mean, so it's just trying to balance it, but it does get tough sometimes when you starting to get a string of poor results. You know what I mean? It's not taking the mick, but as a Tottenham fan, like over the past couple of seasons,
that's the only cup that he's ever had.
All right, come on, what's your?
But the point I'm trying to make is you've had big managers come in, and at the start, everybody's been positive about that manager, right? And then when it's gone wrong, actually, you start to see as it's starting to gradually go wrong. Fans start to turn. There will have to be some at first. They're
That's
pretty
natural
vocal.
in football, though, isn't it?
With Arsenal, it's exactly the same thing. It's just that we were there, right there at the front, on the front line, reporting on it. So
how do you feel when? Sorry, Stu, I just want to pick up on your question. When Stu says, as a Southampton fan, who's got no interest in Arsenal at all, he'd go on to Arsenal Fan TV for the meltdowns more so than he would for the positives. Do you look at that and go, great, I'm engaging an audience wider than Arsenal? Does that frustrate you that Tottenham, Chelsea, Southampton fans, rival fans are enjoying the meltdowns that are on Arsenal?
There's nothing you can do about it, innit? It's just the football is natural, eh? Right. You know what I mean? A Portsmouth fan will be going on to Southampton forums now and having a laugh as well. He says, I mean, you just got to, sometimes you've got to embrace it and just say it's football, right? If Tottenham lose, I'm going to go on and... Look, it's Tottenham channels, or I'm going to go and look at Tottenham. I might even, there might be a Tottenham game on and Tottenham are winning like 3-0 and I'm like, oh, fuck this, man. I'm going to go watch something else, right? Whereas if I turn on and they're a goal down, I'm like, oh, hold on. I mean, it's just, it's football.
That's football.
You've got to embrace football for what football is. The tribalism in football, you've got to embrace it for what it is. You can't then go on and start pretending. That's the worst thing you can do. Where you're going to start going on now and say to yourself, right, I know Tottenham fans might take the mick out of this and this might... So what we're going to do is try and pretend like that didn't happen. That's when you're compromising your content, because you just want to be honest with what you do. And I always say to people, we're AFTV, we're not North Korea fan TV, you know what I mean? We're going to tell it as it is, and unfortunately... You are going to get times where, towards the end of we was having a brilliant season last year. It was all brilliant positivity, and then right at the end, when we sort of threw it away and we ended up losing the title, I knew it was coming, man. I got so much stick.
Did you? Go
personally off of other fans? Oh gosh, man. I mean, fans ringing me. I had fans driving past me every day. The amount of banter from Tottenham fans and Chelsea fans, and you bottled it and. I just take it. You got to take it on the chin, because I know he's coming. And I would do it if it was.
You do give it as well.
I will give it. Yeah, I mean, you got to just embrace it. You don't look on it and say to yourself, "Oh, I'm worried because," well, you want your club to do well, but it's football.
But it is. That's what you say. It's football, and I don't know, if you look at American sports, I've spent quite a bit of time over in America over the years, and when they're watching American football, and they'll pick a team, they have their team support, and then some I know Green Bay Packers will be playing, and they'll start supporting them and go, oh, we want them to win. It's like, how can you do that? You have one club, that's it, one club, you like that club, and you want everyone else to do badly. It's simple as that. But I think the most entertaining, one of the reasons that I did head over to Arsenal Fan TV when things were going bad, and I actually really respect Arsenal as a football club, and actually wanted you to win the league last year. I thought it would be good, but the characters you've had over the years and how they react when you're losing made it even more entertaining. It's the Claudes and Heavy D's obviously unfortunately passed away. But those sort of people, and Ty and that and I don't know, there was just something really. It's just
you gravitate towards.
Yeah, you gravitate.
It's interesting that you said the word characters there. They're not characters; they are real people.
They're real,
but people do describe the people Arsenal fans to be as characters.
I guess. Listen, the thing is, right? They're real people. They're real football fans who are passionate about their club. But what happens is, over a period of time, when you interviewing certain fans, they do sort of become almost like characters in themselves, because everybody's different, right?
Yeah.
So. And then you'll interview certain fans, they just got something about them that just makes them a bit of a character, you know what I mean? And over a period of time, they just turn into, like you said, like a character.
Who's the best character you've ever had on Arsenal Fan TV then, would you say? Who's the person that you're standing with the mic where you think, wow, the most?
There's been so many.
There haven't there?
There's been, I mean, you said they're Claude. I mean, I used to love Claude because... Claude was just like live, breathe Arsenal, right? And just like that. If we when we're winning, cloud 9. When we're losing, cloud 0. Like there's no filter on him. You know what I mean? And I just used to love interviewing him.
Yeah, nice guy as well. Actually,
very very nice guy. Really sad that he passed away, but he was to me, he's one of my favourites because he just used to be such a character, and some of the things he just used to come out with, he just used to just crack me up every time,
I met him a few times actually. I've got to say, because I was doing some Spurs content, and he actually came on from a rival perspective, and he was so classy in what he was saying and honest, and I just thought, and obviously so sad what happened, but just really nice guy.
You know what, right? He all the Spurs fans used to like him.
Yeah,
I never like
that's true. They did.
Yeah, all the Tottenham fans, they used to go, "See you, Robbie, don't like you, mate. Don't like you, don't like him. Claude's all right. He's all right."
Because he said that time he thought he'd win the league, didn't he? It was that famous clip where he says, "I think Tottenham will win the league." Do you remember that?
Yeah. So
like, go on, Claude.
We've been going down. We've got North London derby. We're going down there. He's like the only one who's safe. right? The rest of us, our lives are in danger. Yeah,
I got him in the prawn sandwich brigade. But come on, very cool with this verse.
It's all right, right? We're all in danger. He's all right.
What can I ask about Ty? Because there have been a lot of iconic viral moments involving Ty, and it seems like you enjoy winding him up a bit.
I love winding him up, mate. Again, such a character, and people often say to me, "Is he really like that?" Or I go, "He's worse than what you see on camera."
Is he?
He's
worse.
In what
way?
He's just like that guy's like Arsenal through and through.
Yeah, I'm guessing he would be the worst after Arsenal losing match. I imagine he is.
Yeah. He's the worst.
He's the most diehard Arsenal fan of all of them.
Yeah, he's the worst Arsenal after Arsenal lose. He can never take defeat. You know, you get some other fans that go,
yeah.
You'd be like,
better team.
Let's be honest. They were the better team. He'll never say that. Never, ever, ever. I'll be like, he'll blame the referee. It'll be the pitch, the rain. It will never be. It could never be. Well, like you said, I've just never heard him say they were the better team. I remember one time we went to Anfield. Right, we got battered by Liverpool. You know when Liverpool were on fire?
Yeah.
And I was finished doing the interviews, and I was going to tell them, Ty, man, we got to admit, man, they're good, man. Salah, they're another level. No, man. I had to go, come on. Even I was getting frustrated as another Arsenal fan. I go, come on. The time with the rain, like you said.
The rain
that famous thing where he said that the rain affected the game. But he's a diehard Arsenal fan. He goes and he watches he goes to watch all the women's games. He watches under 21s, under 18s. That guy, honestly, but he's such a character.
The club shop must love him as well because he's got every bit of
he's literally on the head. Surely he's got a brand deal with a mega store.
He should have a brand deal.
Always thinking. How would you market Ty, Stu? Go on. Brand deal.
He markets himself, doesn't he?
He should have his own brand.
Are they all mates of yours? Have you ever had disagreements? Because obviously a lot of the people that appear on Arsenal Fans have gone on to create their own platforms and have successful careers in YouTube, I'd say, and podcasts and stuff. Are you friends with them? Have you had any beef or falling outs with them when they've done other things? How does it work?
Yeah, listen, you have beefs and falling outs with people. I try not to have beefs, right? But you have falling outs with people and stuff like that. It happens, you know. But listen, a lot of them have gone on to, you know, like Troops, for example, has gone on to do really well. He's been doing his stuff in America and stuff like that, you know what I mean? And you know, I was just with him out in America as well, you know what I mean? And it's good what he's doing.
So you're pleased for them? You don't look at it as you're losing someone from your channel?
No.
You're happy for them to do that?
Happy for them to go on, and if they've built something and you've helped to contribute a bit towards that, it should be happy, you know what I mean? And you know, it's not for one person. I always look at when I see some of these little beefs going on within you know, the social media space. I'm like, look how big this thing is. It's not going to be one.
Big enough for the both
you know, look at football. There's not one player, isn't it? It's not just Ronaldo and Messi. I mean, they can't play on their own. You need other people to play as well. So, good luck to them.
Stu, what do you think of what Robbie's built from a content creator point of view? Because a lot of your talent there's such a wide-ranging talent. You look after influencers, TikTokers, YouTubers. In terms of fan channel, I mean, there's very few that are doing it to the scale he's at. What do you make of what he's built?
No, I think because before I knew Robbie, I would always assume that you almost casted the people that you were interviewing because there was such a kind of diverse range, but they all kind of work so well together that it almost becomes, like I say, to a Southampton fan watching it, it's almost like an entertainment show. And a lot of the time, fans' opinions can be boring, I think, and it's just the same old. But you've found this mix of different characters. Like I said, I don't want to call them characters; they're real people, but they come across on TV as characters. I don't really know what to say.
Really good.
I think the thing is, right, when you know, we interview a lot of fans, so. The more fans you interview, the more diversity of characters and of people you're going to have. So, and actually, when you say diversity, that's one of the things I've been really pleased about with us as well. And you get like such a wide range of people being interviewed on our channels, right? And that's because our thing is we interview fans, right? So if you're a fan On you come. Have your say. I don't care what you look like.
Yeah.
I don't care who you are.
Do you have like a priority queue though for the regulars, and then how does it work on a match day?
I don't class it as a priority queue.
Regular contributors.
You've got regulars who come on all the time, so you get them on, but that doesn't mean that it's just them that come on. I mean, if you look at after a game, it's a friendly we did last night. We interviewed about 25 people. You know,
does that all make the cut? How many make the cut?
All of them made the cut.
Do they?
Yeah, and out of all of those, about 7 of them were regulars.
Right.
And all the rest of them were like, just fans who wanted to have their say. So, not everything makes the cut unless somebody's being completely disrespectful. Yeah. How we do it is everybody makes the cut.
Yeah.
Because it's your say.
Yeah.
Or sometimes some people have said some things where you're like, that can't come out.
Yeah, of course.
Right? But if you come on and you want to have your say, it makes the cut. We don't sit and say, and actually that one weren't good enough. Or he weren't, because if we start doing stuff like that, we're going against the whole principles of what I started it in the first place, which is to let fans have their say.
Yeah, you have done that well, actually. I think that is a good point about the diversity and the inclusion. You do have such a diverse mix of people. I think that's really important because that's what we want from football, it to be diverse and inclusive game.
The thing is, right, you don't have to try hard to do it because it is if you actually allow people to come and have their say, football is a very diverse game, sport, especially in London. So the supporters in London are very diverse. So if you're actually allowing them to have their say, you don't have to tick boxes and go out there in order to get people on. You just say to them, you come next, mate. And that's it.
Tell us about the process. When you started, I want to know from when you started to where you are now, the first few games, how are you actually filming it? How long did the process take? How did you upload it to what you're doing now?
It was terrible in those early days because that camera we borrowed, right, was like it wasn't digital.
Oh, wow.
So it was like a taped, it looked impressive because it was big, right? So you looked on it, when you looked at the camera, you thought to yourself, hey, that camera it looks like some TV thing. But what it was old. He was an old cameraman and it had like some tape thing in it, right? So what you had to do, say you filmed an hour or 2 hours, then to process it, it took 2 hours to process it before you could even start editing.
You'd have to ingest it effectively.
Yeah, so the process was very long. And then, basically the laptop that I had was like, a work laptop. Right, so that was slow. And
so where did you upload? You'd go home
we'd have to go home after the game, upload. It would take hours, man, hours.
So if you went to a 3 o'clock game, it finished at 5, well, what is your, from 5 o'clock to 7, you're interviewing or?
Yeah, 5 o'clock to 7 interviewing and then processing and all that. Probably videos start coming up about 3-4 hours later.
Wow.
Because that's always the key with the football, with this type of content, right, is football fans are fickle and it's in the moment that evening that you're talking about the game and you're emotional about the game and looking for footage. But then the next day in the afternoon, your wife's dragging you away to go out somewhere with the kids and stuff, and you almost forget about the game that was before, and you've got to literally act in the moment, which is the same as the IFL TV model, right?
Yeah,
They would just grab content on the night, on the day, on the fight night, get it up there, so people that are looking for this behind the scenes content or what's happening
as
right in the moment
possible.
is going straight up there, and
over a period of time now, we started to get better. Every time I made any money, I just reinvest it back into equipment, right? So we started to get a better laptop.
Yeah.
And better camera. I remember the first time we got like the laptop was key.
Yeah.
Because we got spent a lot of money. We spent a couple of grand on a laptop, right?
Yeah.
That had a really good processor in it. And I literally thought that the speed of it, I had to say to my partner, is this thing for real? How's he able to do it that quick? It used to take us, what used to take us an hour, that thing's doing in 3 minutes.
Yeah.
How? It was like a miracle, you know what I mean? And it's a game changer for us as well because it just meant now we could get content up really quickly. And like you said, Stu, it has to be in the moment. In football, you know what I mean? You want to be, I always say, you want to be in the conversation. So whilst everyone's talking about that winning goal or whatever, that red card or whatever, you want your videos to be coming out at that time in the conversation, you know what I mean? So it was a real game changer getting that equipment. And equipment is so important. Equipment and then technologies enable me to make a success of what I'm doing because, we always try to embrace whatever new technology comes out, We always look at different platforms. I mean, we started off predominantly YouTube, but now we're big on every platform. And we always try to look at what's new out there and how can football content work within those new things. So, yeah, I mean, technology, things like live. When I first started, live wasn't really a thing, but now live is a big thing for us, you know what I mean? Because you can go live instantly wherever you are, you know? So, yeah, it's all, the technology's really helped grow, you know, this sort of industry.
Yeah, it's a good point. That I wanted to speak to you about the relationship you have with the fans. How do you feel because there is a perception by certain people that you obviously want Arsenal to win because you're an Arsenal fan, but there's certain people think, oh, well, if Arsenal lose or there's a shock, you can actually make more money and become more successful and your channel grows quicker because more people will tune in and watch that content. How does that make you feel?
You know what, it used to bother me at first when people used to come and say that to me because, you know, I've been supporting Arsenal long before.
Because a lot of people have said that to you, haven't they?
Yeah. You'll have a lot of sort of maybe older fans sometimes say, you know what I mean, you're not proper Arsenal, right? I remember I asked the guy, I've been supporting Arsenal for about 40 years, man. Season ticket at Highbury. So what's proper Arsenal? And he just answered me back by saying, you're not proper Arsenal. I go, yeah, you've now said that twice. What is proper Arsenal then? Right? But the thing is about it, you get some fans who don't like what we do. You know what I mean? Sort of, I used to have a bit of a problem with it back in the day because I'm like, we're working hard here. You know what I mean? I'm spending I've spent like thousands and thousands of my own money. And everything that I make, I put back in to try and do this thing that even almost like creating a service for you guys and you're there ripping me. But nowadays, I don't care. I'm just like, well, listen, you can't please everybody.
Especially with football fans, right?
Yeah, especially with football. And like I said, some of the people that I've heard say that over the years start their own channel. Right? So I just look at it and I say, weren't that the person who said, Robbie, you're trying to make money off the club and that, who's now started his channel, doing a podcast, doing this. But I don't, listen, these are some of the things that you're going to get as you grow. The criticisms you get is part of it, man. I'm saying this to anybody who's going to look to build a channel or build anything out there, that's coming. That is coming, right? And if you better be ready for it. I always remember, right? I went and did an interview with what's his name? The guy who does the reggae sauce.
Levi Roots.
Levi Roots.
Yeah.
Sorry, Levi. Right? But yeah, Levi Roots, right? And I knew Levi Roots from back in the music days because he used to perform long before he did the reggae sauce stuff. But he's a big Arsenal fan as well. So I remember interviewing him in his restaurant he had at the time because we were playing West Ham and his restaurant was near in Westfield, right? And then he said to me afterwards, he goes, Robbie, because this is all for the club. So I said, no, it's my own thing, the thing. And he's going, this is brilliant, man. Well done with what you've done and stuff like that. He's going, but. So I was thinking, but? He goes, I have to warn you, yeah? He goes, you're going to have a lot of people come. They're going to criticize you. They're going to cuss you off. He goes, when you start to become really successful, that's when they really start coming for you. And he goes, but I'm telling you, don't make that deflect you off your pathway. Stay on your pathway. Keep focus upon what you're trying to achieve, which is you want to make your thing successful. He goes, if you're employing people, you're doing a great thing because you're giving people work. So he goes, you stay focused. Don't get... And that's one of the best advice I ever had.
Is it true?
Because it's so true. Because the people will come and they'll try and slag you off and they'll try this and they'll blame you for that and you're this and you're that. And if you get caught up in it, you know, and sometimes, you know what I mean, it's hard. You know what I mean? Because you're like, bro, what have I done to...
How do you deal with the negativity then? Because you're saying that it's been hard. Obviously, AFTV does split opinion amongst the wider fan base. I think that's fair to say, isn't it? So you're getting criticism, and I've known you for ages, and you've always been a very straight-talking, genuine guy, but there have been people who've not met you who have commented on the content you've done. How do you deal with that?
You just got to hold it, man.
It doesn't get to you at all.
Listen, you're a human being, so sometimes it does affect you, it does annoy you, but show me somebody who's really successful, ain't got loads of criticism.
Especially,
you know what I mean?
Especially in football. I know I keep going back to it, but the football community, it's quite a toxic community, right? It's quite a jealous community. Everyone thinks they're the best fan of whatever club they support. Everyone, I'm the best fan. So when they see people within the club or within their community doing well, they want to hate on them. There's just this kind of jealousy that breeds. And then if you get the odd perk or two from the club, it's like, well, Southampton sent me a shirt, a home shirt this season, and I just put it on my Twitter. Oh God, why are you getting freebies?
Exactly,
it's like, well, I've done them a few favours. I got them Chunks to do a shout out for the Junior Saints last year, and Chris MD to do the same. So they owe me a favour, so send me a shirt. And also, I spend a lot of money with them every year.
You do go to Southampton.
Well, I get stuff out all the time. As I said, these people.
What sort of stuff do you get then? Go on. The people,
when I say stuff, I don't mean stuff from Arsenal. I mean stuff like people slagging me off.
I know, but criticism in terms of if you get freebies and stuff like that, is that what
and I don't really get no freebies. That's the thing. I pay for my I pay for my own shirts. You know what I mean? Like the other day we was in America, I paid for all that. I paid for all our flights. I paid for everybody's accommodation and that we bought over there. I bought all my own tickets, right? But we also had press access to some of the games. Yeah. I see some comments, they get in there. Oh, I'm thinking, we worked hard for this, bro. Yeah.
But this is
but I don't really make that bother me no more. You know what I mean? Because I was look on it and say, okay, if this is what you want to feel, too bad. I know what I've done.
Yeah.
I think in life, as long as you know what you've done, what you've put in, the work you've put in, the grafting you've put in, you don't worry about other people, man. You try. I always remember I was at a game one time, and I swear I must have met about 100 fans on that day that came up to me and said to me to go, out of these 100 fans, 98 of them came up to me and said, Robbie, love what you do, man. Well done. AFTV, love it. Keep up the good work, right? And then right at the end of the day, there was these two guys, I always remember it, they came out, oh, you prick, you make money off the club, you're not even an Arsenal fan, you're a Luton fan. Because I went to school in Luton now, I'm a Luton fan. Right. You prick, right? And I was a bit mad at the time, you know what I mean? I sort of said something back to them and it got a little spiky and then we had to be separated and things like that, right? And when I was driving home, I was saying to myself, how stupid am I? Not them stupid, me. Because I'm like, 98 people have come up to me today and complimented me and said how well we're doing with the channel and they love what we do. And I made 2 idiots nearly ruin my day. 2 out of the 98.
Yeah. But that's like
I should be worried
media,
if it's 98 against me and 2 for me, then I should be worried.
But that's like social media. When you get 100 nice comments and there's one person that sends
and a lot
that gets in you, that's
and a lot of time on social
about,
media, there's certain platforms where, you know, the people that love your content won't always send you nice things. They just love your content. Yeah. So they're just watching it. And it will be the haters, which is a tiny percentage of them, who will be vocal.
But I think that's natural human instinct. A lot of the time, the negativity does stick, doesn't it? Because I've experienced that before. You get a lot of nice comments, but the one that is negative, you think about more.
But you have to try and get it in your head to just overcome that and just say, all right, mate, and just move. Honestly, I know it can be tough, and it's not just me who goes through it. I think it's most people who are doing well on, especially in social media. Yeah. I remember one time it was like a YouTube event where there was there was loads of different influencers, and there were these girls who do like health and beauty and fashion. And when they showed me the stuff, the abuse they get, I was like, hey, listen, that's not, we don't. I thought football was bad. Yeah. That's even worse. And
it's not
they ain't done nothing wrong. They just look good, and because they're doing really well. Now loads of people are abusing them. Do you know what I mean?
I think in a nutshell, you just emphasise the positive and negative of social media, that you can have a career from it being a YouTuber, but you're also open to reading what someone you've never met in your life before has an opinion on that.
As that guy Levi Roots said to me at that time, don't let that stop you. Don't let that, don't let that make you lose focus. Don't let that you know what I mean? And it doesn't matter whether it's social media. It doesn't matter if it's stuff like what you're doing on TV. I'm sure you must have people who say, well, see, I'm better than him. Or why is he on there? You know what I mean? But you know how hard you've worked. You know how well you're doing. do your thing.
Yeah, no, thanks, man. I appreciate that. And like you, I had.
Although I'm one of your haters, you know what I mean? I'm only joking.
He sounds a bit of memes ever Arsenal beat. No, but it's interesting.
He's like, I love Smithy, bro.
I love you too, mate. It's interesting what you say there, because I started doing work experience, and then as a runner, I started, right at the. I don't like calling it the bottom, because I really enjoyed it then, and I've got great relationships with people who are doing those roles now. But in terms of where you want your career to progress, it was unpaid work experience, T-boy. But I felt that gives you a good grounding for when you do start presenting and things
Another thing as well. I always say to people, never disrespect as well people like that as well.
100% agree.
You disrespect the little runner.
No,
you disrespect that, because those could be the guys in the future that are running.
Yeah.
No, also, they go from runner to run in it, right? And
exactly.
That's another thing I don't like in this space sometimes. You get little people, they start to get big.
Yeah.
A little bit of fame, you know what I mean? And then all of a sudden now,
change.
They're dissing people, and they're dissing that person, and that. I don't like that either. That's like almost like the other part of it that I really, really don't like.
No, I totally agree. And why I think that's important as well is because when I was a runner, for me, that was, at the time, as important as the job that I'm currently doing as a presenter, because that's all you know. So I think you should just treat people as you find them. I totally agree, and I think that is a great lesson for people in the industry. I wanted to speak to you about, you were saying all of that, the negativity that you have had, but obviously you've overcome that. Have you ever sat in a game, because this is something that a lot of people talk about with AFTV and think, obviously you monetize, you can make more out of the negativity. Have you ever sat in a ground, not talking about a North London derby, because I know from your text messages how much you want Arsenal to beat Tottenham and every time Arsenal play, but have you ever sat in a ground, say you were playing a Burnley for argument's sake, and thought, if we win 1-0, obviously the channel will do well, but have you ever thought, but if we do lose 1-0, we can gain more views on the channel?
Ever.
You've never thought that?
Never.
Do you know what I'm getting at? Because that's something that is...
Yeah, that's what something...
You'll be aware of it as a consequence, but it's like, I know I keep talking about Southampton, but it's football. Southampton being relegated. So I want Southampton to be in the Championship. I'm not really interested in the Premier League, because I don't want to finish 17th. So all of last season, I'm thinking, well, if we get relegated, then great. Whatever sort of thing.
Great.
But it's but it's an overall thing, because
I don't believe you.
Yeah. No. I'll say it's not as bad as it sounds on the first thing, but I'm like, if we're in the Championship next season, I'll really look forward to that. But I'm a Southampton fan. I want us to win every single game, so that always supersedes wanting us to be playing the Championship. I'm like, I'd really love us to play in the Championship, but I want us to win every game. So
you're more likely to in the Championship.
So and that always supersedes the benefit, I guess, of us.
But have you to answer that question? Have you ever sat in a ground
Never.
And thought, if we lose, it could be more successful for my channel?
No, because like you just said there, I want Arsenal to win every single game, right? And at the end of the day, right, as I said before, like one little viral moment off of a game, that doesn't sustain what I do. What sustains what I do is a consistency of doing every single game, of being there every day, doing it all the time, 24/7. So, all right, we lose to Burnley, we get some great numbers for that day because we lost the game, and lots of people are hyping up over it. But what about next week?
Yeah.
And the week after that, and the week after that. So honestly, that's an honest answer. Yeah. I want my team to win every single game. I hurt like every fan after every defeat. I'm gutted. But then I've got to come out and I've got to speak to fans and that. And fans are gutted, you know what I mean? We want to win. Every fan of your club, you want to win every game. You may think like that with the Southampton thing. That's only because in the back of your mind, you're kind of resigned to the fact that it's going wrong this season. So, all right, I'll take it in the Championship and that. But really and truly, when it came down to the fact that it was looking that Southampton might go down, you wanted to win them games to stay up.
Well,
that's the truth.
Game by game, I want us to win every single game, and I spend a lot of money and watching the Saints, and I want us to win every game. But because I want us to win every game, I think, do you know what? I'd rather be in the Championship because we will win a lot more games.
That's only when you knew though you were gonna go. But I mean, you want to win every game, and you would have loved to have survived and all what came. So every fan, I think if you're a true football fan, you want to win every game.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah,
It's as
yeah,
simple as
100%.
that.
Yeah, yeah.
To be fair, I can back him up here because I've seen him at Luton games and he wants them to win every game. Arsenal games, I'm only joking.
He started on me. I should have told you the Luton thing. Now he's on me now.
Massive Luton
that's
fan.
been-
I'm excited to see Luton in the Premier League, to be fair.
I'm
though.
excited. I'm excited to see Luton.
Yeah, I was
in
at the
Premiership
playoff
as
final.
well.
I'll tell you what, exciting
I can't.
times.
Hopefully, I can get a ticket to go to that game. You know what I mean? Because apparently, it's only about 900.
Yeah. Yeah, it'd be exciting, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
that
yeah,
game?
yeah. It'd be different.
You don't just do Arsenal Fan TV, DR Sports. Tell us a bit about that. Don Robbie.
Yeah.
So what was the motivation behind that?
It sort of started off as a
More Luton
Don
content?
Robbie. See, I shouldn't have told you that. Now, look. He's going to use it on me.
You
know
wait
what I
till
mean?
when Luton beat Spurs, you'll be straight in my text
Yeah,
messages.
yeah. Oh, trust me, I would definitely be a Luton fan that day, right? But yeah, I mean, I wanted to do a channel that was like all football because like along the way now, I've just like met so many fans of so many clubs, and we get on so well, like and I just wanted to create a channel of all football.
Yeah.
Right, and so that's what we've done with DR, and yeah, it's just going really, really well. We do lots of great content around football involving all fans, and we really sort of focus on the sort of rivalry and tribalism of all the fans on the channel, and we've got some great shows on it. I mean, one of our most successful shows on it's Best of Enemies that I do with Expressions as a Tottenham fan. That show's huge on the channel. Yeah, it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. I think personally that in the future it'll be bigger than AFTV.
Do you? Why'd you say that?
Because it's all football. It's like, it's all football, and I just see the reaction it gets and the love it gets in all the comments we do and the numbers it's achieving, and and it gives you scope to do so much more. I mean, it was at the World Cup in Qatar.
Yeah, good point. You can't put that on AFTV.
You can't really do that. I remember when we had the World Cup in Russia. I went to the World Cup and I was doing content on AFTV, but it's really difficult to follow England because all the best players were Tottenham players.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like Harry Kane, Dele Alli, all these guys go bloody hell, man. We didn't have one. We only had, if you remember, just before that we had Welbeck. And he got injured just before it. So there weren't even no Arsenal players in it.
Yeah.
But now with DR Sports now, you know what I mean, you can go to, like when we was at Qatar, we covered every single game of the World Cup. And we did the same. We were interviewing fans there. And it was absolutely brilliant. And yeah, I'm really infused about this channel. Putting a lot of work into it. Yeah. A lot of time into it. And I really do think it's going to be... Then I think it's going to take over in the future as the biggest channel out of the two.
Do you? Yeah, it's quite. I mean, it's big at the time now. To be fair,
It's big
look
now.
at your numbers on the way here, and I've seen a lot of your content. I suppose what I want to ask you is, in terms of how you balance everything. How I'm not going to ask you for your bank balance or how, because no one will ask that. But there's a lot of intrigue about what you've built, your empire. So can you give us an insight into? We know that it was just you and a camera op with a camera that you borrowed on a tape back in the day. How big is your sort of empire now? How many people work with you? Do you have a studio? I mean, it's called Don Robbie. I'm going to call it an empire. Go on, give us an insight.
I wouldn't say it's an empire. I employ about 22 people.
Full time, that is?
Full time.
Wow.
Got studios.
That you own studio space?
Well, yeah. I do, we rent the studios. I mean, you can own studio space in London. Then it really is the empire. You know what I mean? But
so 22 people.
22 people. 3 studios. Because we started an F1 channel recently as well, so we got a little studio for that. We got the DR studio, the AFTV studio, offices. Got a team that does social media, a team that does graphics. Yeah, it's a big team, and those are the permanent. And then apart from that, we've got a lot of other people that contribute. Like like on DR, for instance, we use a lot of different influencers from different teams and stuff like that. So yeah, it's a big operation now, and like literally everything I've earned has gone into these channels. You know what I mean? It's just like we've got the studio, we've got all the our studios. The way it's built is that we can film and edit everything in real time so that it's ready to go literally after, with a really quick edit afterwards, ready to go out. That's how we operate. We operate a lot with speed.
There's so many outlets now to get sports news, right? Whether it be on Sky or the Twitter or even TikTok and stuff, that you've got to react quick to get those clips. So the quicker that you can get stuff up. I mean, we've just built this studio. and like behind them curtains is another set. We're trying to make it as adaptable as possible, but it's being edited whilst we're talking now.
Yeah.
And then at the end of it, it will be ready to upload. So if we were, if someone was using our studio for something topical, they could literally come in, sit here, go breaking news, talking about transfers, and we could upload it pretty much 10 minutes later if we wanted to. And in sports, it's vital because 2 hours later, it's old news.
Yeah.
Yep.
And also with sport, there's so much other sport that goes on as well, isn't it? That your attention fan after a football match might be to the boxing fight that's happening 4 hours later or whatever. So that,
you got to be, as I said, you got to be in the conversation.
Yeah.
If you're not in that conversation, you could make award-winning Steven Spielberg content, right?
In your studio.
In my studio. Right?
It's that good.
But then it comes out 2 days after everyone was talking about the incidents at the game. No one's interested.
Yeah.
Don't care how good it looks.
Yeah.
So you've really got to move up pace. So you've got to buy equipment and have your studio set up to be able to handle that.
Yeah.
And that's what we've got.
You've got to hit that. So it's when Declan Rice signed, for example, you literally... You getting tip-off saying it's about to happen, Yeah. Everyone on standby.
Everybody's on standby. Everyone's ready. You know what I mean? We're ready to go live. We've got content that's ready. It's ready. It's got to be ready to go.
You're almost assumptive. We know he's signing. Let's literally almost get this story ready because you've got to be one of them first major channels that's got Declan Rice in the title because immediately everyone's going to go, oh, Declan Rice and find the content. So
especially when it's such a big transfer like this, everyone's talking about it. But I imagine you're buzzing about that transfer.
Oh, loving it. That's been a brilliant transfer. And it hasn't always been that way at Arsenal, you know.
He's a top guy as well.
Because I do...
Great guy.
Yeah, I do a transfer show every single day, 7 days a week during the transfer window. And I can tell you over the years, man, we've had some dreadful transfer windows. So this year's been a breath of fresh air. It's been brilliant. And the numbers have been... I mean, when we signed Declan Rice, it was ridiculous. That's what I'm going back to, you know, when people talk about negativity and positivity. I mean, at the moment... with the positivity around the club, it's been brilliant.
Yeah.
You know?
Does that help your role as well? Because I remember, I don't want to keep going on about the negatives because, just talking about the empire that you've built, it's amazing. But I remember one game, I think it was at Goodison, where there was a clip of Arsenal fans chanting, Arsenal fan TV, get out of our club, and you were walking in. And I just felt like...
Yeah, there was a group of guys,
That must be so difficult for you. And then it's on the internet for everyone to see. How do you deal with that from your own fans when you're going into a game?
It's difficult, you know what I mean? Because, you know, you think to yourself, what? You come all the way up to Goodison Park to talk about AFTV. Get behind your team. Get behind the team. You want to come and say something afterwards, that's fair enough. But get behind the team during the game, you know? So, but then I must be quite big if you're charting about me as well, isn't it?
I've made it, Mum, I've made it.
Well, I've made it, man. You're charting about me and they want to beat me up.
It's a fair way of looking at it. Recently, Robbie did turn me into a meme. I don't know if you knew this, Stu, but after Arsenal beat Tottenham, he was outside the Emirates with a cigar and saying expressions, Spurs fan TV, Smithy, and he's puffing on the cigar saying, what have you got to say now?
That's because, right?
And I've got so many messages.
But that's because the day before you had me on that... on your thing on
Saturday
Sky,
Social.
On Saturday Social on Sky, and you were giving it.
I was not.
You were giving it large. You were giving it large. You see, like how
I
now
never give it large.
He keeps cracking all these little jokes on the side. He's very skillful at that, and he was doing that all throughout the show, So then the next day, when we pumped them, you know what I mean? I just got the cigar out and, you know what I mean?
He killed me. No, I've got a lot of love for this guy, honestly. Mate, I've got to say, it's amazing what you've built up, and it's fascinating hearing you say about how you think DR Sports will overtake AFTV, and it goes to show, I mean, credit for you. I know I'm a Spurs fan, you're an Arsenal fan, we banter each other, but I've got nothing but respect for everything you've done. Just to want to end it by asking, what's some of the greatest things you've experienced or greatest people you've met through doing AFTV and DR Sports? Go on, tell us some of the people you've seen and places you've been that you wouldn't have done without it.
Well, meeting Thierry Henry, you know what I mean?
Number one.
That was because he's always been one of my heroes.
Yeah.
Wrighty as well, Ian Wright, and like those guys coming up to you and saying to you, "Oh, I love what you do." But
I bet they know what you do.
Yeah. I mean, they came up to me. I love your content and love what you. Those are great things, you know, because you grew up watching these. These are your heroes, and for them to be coming up to you and that, and then just like I don't know, man. So many amazing things we've done. I mean, all the traveling I've done. Like I've gone around the world with this, you know. coming off of a plane in China and there's people waiting for you at the airport
Wow.
with signs, AFTV, we love you and stuff like that.
Don Robbie this way.
Yeah, it's mad. And I've been to like so many countries, Australia, Singapore. I was just come back last week from America. Like everywhere I went and got absolutely mobbed. I mean, it's you. I always just think back to the, you know, what we were talking about earlier, or when we first started, where we're trying to find people to come on, and then you go into places and you just, you know, whether it's anywhere across the country, here or anywhere around the world you go, you get absolutely mobbed. Everyone knows the channel, and everybody knows, you know, what you do, and it's incredible. I really constantly get blown away by it.
Does it make you think back to that time a lot?
All the time.
You get, I mean, I just walk down the street with you. Whenever I walk down the street with you, I mean, he does get mobbed. It's fair to say. Does it remind you of actually all that graft and all that hard work?
Always. I just think back to the other day when we was over in America. There's 8 of us that went, right? And I was saying to the guys, I remember the first time I did one of these trips, I went on my own, right? I couldn't even bring my camera guy because I couldn't afford it.
Yeah.
And I had to like reach out to some people. I remember the first one I went to was America, it was New York. And I had to reach out to some people in New York as fellow Arsenal fans and say, yeah, anyone out there got a camera, right? That knows that. And then, you know, a couple of Arsenal fans over there helped film the content. And then my camera guy gave me a little crash course in editing.
Amazing.
And then I'd edit it and get it up. And then I'm like saying to these guys now there's 8 of us now. We brought 2 guys to film. And it's just amazing. So always thinking back to those days just keeps you... keeps you grounded a bit, you know what I mean? You remember, you know what I mean? Remember where you come from. But see, no, it's been, honestly, there's been so many, and then you get asked to do a lot of things that you weren't expecting, like, you know, Robbie, can you come to this school and talk?
Yeah,
or,
that's powerful, that.
Robbie.
And you're a dad as well, so that must mean even more to you, right, being a father.
They asked me, like, I remember the first time they go, can you come and speak at Eton College?
Wow.
I thought it was a prank. You know?
Yeah.
Westminster College and all these posh private schools and they go, can you come and talk? And I go,
do you bring Ty along to those ones with you? Do you bring Ty along?
I'm going to bring him to. I said that. Funny enough, the last time I spoke at, I think it was Westminster College, they said to me, next time bring Ty in there. I said,
Did they actually?
I will do. Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah, you know, so because there's so many kids that want to get into, you know, social media or get into, you know, the business side of, you know, because they see, you know, social media's now, you know, making a business out of that is like up there with football for a lot of kids, you know. It's the thing so they'll ask me to come along and just speak about it and just say to them, you know, say to these kids that it is a lot of hard work, you know, it's not, and it is.
Yeah.
You do have to put a lot of work in.
Yeah, you do.
You know that, Stu, man. You know, one of the biggest lessons I ever learnt, right, was from one of your guys, right, when it was years and years ago, I was doing an advert. They was doing an advert at the start of a season for fantasy football, and KSI was on it, and there was loads of influencers, and they asked me to be on it in this advert as well. Yeah, and I knew he was an Arsenal fan, so I said hello to him and all that, and then during, you know, when you're doing adverts, there's like a break, and you're waiting around for bloody ages and that. So I said to myself, you know what, this guy, he's top of the game, man. Yeah. Let me ask him. Let me see if I can get a few little tips off him. And just from I always remember talking to him that day and thinking to myself, the work, what he was explaining to me about the work he puts in. He was sort of saying to me that people just see the stuff he does, but they don't see. And I really took that. I've never even actually sort of spoken to him since. I've seen him loads of times and said hello and things, but I've never spoken to him to sort of say, he had a big influence on me, right? Because what he explained to me about the work he puts into doing his content, I took that away of me and said, yeah, you know what, if I'm really gonna be big with this thing, I've got to work my socks off. I can't make people outwork me. I have to. So I really took that away from me. That was a real big takeaway, and I think people need to get it. Anybody you see up there that's doing it, doing these content, whether you like them, whether you rate what they do, they're working. I
totally agree.
They're working hard.
All the ones that have got to the top have got there through hard work.
Pretty much there's a common denominator.
Don't you ever think it's a fluke. Don't you ever.
There's a common denominator in pretty much every episode we've done so far, isn't it? It's KSI, KSI, graft, work hard, consistency.
And listen, it's not just graft with him. He's and all these other guys. They're obviously very, very talented people, but they also bring that work ethic to it, and that's what keeps them where they are, and that's what makes them always be doing all these great things. So if you're going to be, I look to these sort of guys, right, and they might be in a totally different field to me, but I'm like, I like to learn off of everybody. That's how I am. I don't care. I don't care whether it's football, cricket.
Always take something off of someone you meet.
So you got to put the work in along with the talent. If you're gonna,
I totally agree.
Nobody up there's a fluke.
No. Would you say KSI is one of the biggest influences on your career then? From that moment, that was a real
because that was a big influence on me, because I just went away from that. I mean, I already worked hard, but I just went away from that and thought, if you're gonna be up there amongst, listen, I'm nowhere near them sort of guys, but I'm looking at it thinking, if you're gonna be up there amongst these sort of company, man, you got to put it in. You can't. I've taken on board what he said.
Yeah,
so
it's good advice, isn't it, Stu? I think it's the perfect note to end it. Robbie, congrats on everything you've achieved. I know we have our differences with our football teams, but you are a top man. We go back many years, and I think...
Where are you not going to finish this year? You didn't say.
That is the end of the podcast, so thank you for joining us, mate, top man, and catch up with you soon.